Not equipping items in Skyrim is weird. It obviously functions like a normal game, but something just feels morally ambiguous. It's like this one guy I knew who rode a bicycle everywhere. He was incredibly lean. He had a 4% body fat comp or something close. Incredible vascular system and chewed on carbs by the bucket load and just never gained an inch. I mean, he couldn't actually drive a car because he was so badly addicted to alcohol that his license was permanently revoked. He kind of got caught up on the opposite lane going 60 over in a school zone or something. Super nice guy, though. He couldn't hold a job or keep friends either. I think he wound up homeless and wandering out west somewhere. But you know what? I bet he's still on that bike. Anyway, playing Skyrim without gear is just like that. So here's our protagonist. He's a man who's lost everything. His name is Sir Pons Lesius, or Sir Pantsless. So he has nothing to live for, yet he persists. He walks the same path as you. Perhaps it's the path of virtue or wealth. It makes no difference. In the end, the good and the evil are punished the same. This once proud noble is one of those. His penance is to live without the comfort of clothing, and he may not even use weapons to defend himself. He swore an oath in front of his people, his god, and set off on pilgrimage. The Imperials assumed he was mad. Maybe he was a little mad. So, Sir Pantsless finds himself in a predicament. He's between his commitment to his penance and the looming threat of a mysterious black dragon. The rules of the run are simple. Don't equip anything. The goal is to avoid using any item that fills specifically a gear slot. So everything from spells to hand-to-hand, stealth, etc., they're fine. For some reason, the tutorial was just extra fun this time. Being a Breton, he's able to use some basic forms of magic without a fuss. Of course, I forgot that Bretons have access to the Conjure Familiar spell from the get-go. And honestly, Breton probably wasn't the best choice, but it seemed like a good idea at the time with the magic resistance and everything. I did make sure to loot enough gear to sell for potions later. Am I the only one that finds myself only taking the lightest items from enemies? It's such a hard habit to break. I mean, I'll grab things like gloves and boots and weapons and such, but I always avoid grabbing the high dollar pieces like cuirasses, even if they're light armor, for some reason. In this playthrough, I wanted to take my time. In the last run, I sprinted to the finish line. It was kind of the point, though. It was a build I was used to. It was also extremely efficient. This time, though, was very different. I had a rough idea of a plan. Like, I wasn't completely blind going in. I knew that Sir Pons needed to be either unarmed focused, probably a Khajiit with the armor standing stone, or a magic user of some kind. I liked the idea of him being familiar with spells with his heritage. Punch Kitty should be a run in itself regardless, so to start the adventure, I needed some help. The rules allow companions, so I picked up our wood elf of choice in Riverwood. I think Sir Pons would prefer him over the bard. That guy is pretty annoying. Although, honestly, if you've done the quest, you know they're both awful people. And so together, Feindal and I took on the quest to retrieve the Golden Claw, like we do every time. I considered running straight to Balgruuf this time, though, but I hadn't accepted that quest yet, so I didn't think it was pressing for my character. After all, he's a good guy. He's just done something regretful to send him to the ends of the Empire, probably to his death, honestly, if you're not wearing anything. If someone asked him to deal with some dumb bandits, I doubt he'd pass up the chance to blow off some steam. So, the bandits on the steps were my first actual encounter. It went well. I considered resorting to stealth, but decided against that. The stealthy archetype just didn't suit the character. Instead, I went for a flame-on approach. It took me a while to remember that I had the Summon Familiar spell available to me as a Breton. Of course, I just never use it. I don't think I ever really used it because magic was such an issue. It was extremely, extremely limited forever. And that's an understatement. Magicka would be the defining force behind the run. As Grogrob's limited HP pool was often his Achilles heel, Pons' special casts were so limited that I'd often resort to throwing punches or just running away. So we get to the Barrow and, dude, I'm just telling you right now, I had serious fun with this guy. I don't know why, but just having nothing is just amazing. So as I took a brisk stroll towards Whiterun, I had a thought. I needed to be careful. If I overlevel, enemies would quickly outpace me with my lack of gear. I figured I could at least hoard some potions and maybe amplify my mana pool with the Atronach Stone, but I was beginning to have some doubts. I mean, here we are in 2025, and we've been trained to be meta gamers. What's the point of doing something stupid when you can just be overpowered, right? But I guess that's the point of the challenge anyway. It's a difficult thing to deal with, trying to force out progress from nothing. Just completely limited. It's like grinding on a fresh pencil with one of those cast iron pencil sharpeners that's mounted to the wall. You know the one. It's got the broken handle, incredibly dull blades that actually make the worst noise, just never sharpen anyway. It's been there on that wall since before your parents were old enough to ruin a pencil themselves. That thing has got to have a service life. I'm pretty sure they sell replacement blades for those old things, or at least did at one point. No one sells service items, things like that anymore. With our global economy hinging on products that are designed to be completely replaced in a few months, it's a shame, really. I have tools that are older than my grandparents. No kidding. They're over 100 years old. They may not be as well calibrated or shiny or something made now, but they're not broken. They work. I've got some old hand drills, for example. Did you know that hand drills aren't just electric type that turn a bit? Yep. In the long, long ago, folks used to turn the little bit by hand with a little crank. I've got one that helped build my grandfather's shop. Drilled hundreds of holes, and that's only in his life. He bought it from a furniture maker who used it every day. Just add a little grease and twirl away. So the first dragon fight happened. I think the British used the phrase faffing about. I think that serves well here. I just sort of walked around and helped where I could. It's like fumbling around in the kitchen while you make some abomination. You're behind on rent. Your cars needed repairs twice this week. You accidentally paid the wrong bill early, and now your food budget is in the minus. How sad is that? You gather up what you've got. So my survival food was always dried rice. If you didn't know, that stuff will last till the earth explodes if you freeze it. It probably wasn't the best like that, but I'm not a purist. I usually store dried beans too. They're the poor person's healthy way to survive. Together, they've got good carbs and good plant-based protein. Throw in whatever vegetable scraps you've got, and there, you're set. What's more, buy yourself one of those rotisserie chickens that's about to be tossed for $1 or $2, save the scraps, and boil the bones. That's a trick I refuse to put away. always boil the bones. People have done it for ages, and I don't know why we ever stopped. So take the leftover carcass home from Thanksgiving. You ever tried turkey stock? Dude, it's incredible. Turkey bean soup, that's my abomination. Just boil that stuff down, toss in some minced vegetable scraps in a frying pan with whatever, butter, spices, I don't care. It's all cheap, right? Serve it with either rice or bread. You'll be alright for a few days with that in the back of the fridge. Sometimes, you know, just trying new things despite knowing the outcome is a good thing. It makes us more adventurous, like playing Skyrim completely naked. After Balgruuf begrudgingly informed me that I, the Naked Wanderer, am probably a Dragonborn, I agreed to see the Greybeards. After all, if anyone could understand the absurdity of my predicament, it was them. On the way to the mountain, I got jump scared by some necromancers. One of them summoned a flame atronach, which got the old gears turning in my head. Yep. So, I also got the Oakflesh tome for free from them, too. You know, I can't remember the last time I actually used a tome I found in the wild. When I finally reached the 1,000 Dumb Steps, I imagined how awful it would be to actually climb a mountain without clothing. I'm not even sure it's survivable. Maybe if you stopped every few moments to thaw your feet out or something. I don't know, man. I popped back to Whiterun briefly before actually scaling the mountain, however. I remembered my old frenemy, the Frost Troll, from the last run. It was a lot of fun, bashing my head against the troll and all, but I wanted to at least have a chance. And yeah, I know. Just run away, you say. Well, you know what? I'm stubborn, and the ice troll is the one thing I actually look forward to at this part of the game. So he goes down really quickly with the flame lady on my side. I realized how effective taking aggro and just kiting in circles could be while she asks for their manager. I pop in to say hello to the weird guy club, who quickly hates me. They then send me out for some old guy's codpiece because I'm too weird. No, seriously, why would a graybeard need a horn? They shout louder than any horn could make noise. It's definitely a codpiece. Next, I did something unusual. I went and did a side quest. You know those Red Guard guys? Well, they annoyed me alongside the Mirak cultists when I was on my way to get potions and thought, yeah, I would like to do that encounter with the 12 Red Guards without any gear. Be funny. Oh, I forgot to mention that I switched to Lydia after the first dragon fight. She didn't really help me much. I think I kept outpacing her on foot and she could never catch up to where I was fighting. Anyway, I talked to Sadia. I honestly thought her name was Sadie forever until I took a closer look just now. Well, I paid for the prisoner's bail. On the way to the hideout, for some reason, I thought it was a good idea to try a mammoth. It didn't happen. I know I wasn't playing optimally or whatever. I guess that's really kind of the point of the challenge. But every time I did a dungeon with this character, man, it was just fun. Like, so much fun. I might go back and try a DLC with them or something. Honestly, if you'd like to see that, let me know. Just real quick. Just real quick. Just right down there. Anyway, I crushed the bandits with the flame atronach. I wasn't so worried about mana anymore. It bought me some time to recoup between fights, if you know what I mean. It was just so satisfying. It's like trying a really nice soap for the first time. You know what I mean? Like, if you're like me, you just used whatever was cheapest. But then suddenly you visited someone who enjoys the finer things in life. You walk into their house and immediately realize, wow, it smells good in here? Like a question you have to ask yourself, like yours isn't. So not just the smell of cooking food or something, because that's there too, but the actual air smells good. Somehow, through the magic of some fancy money things that you don't have, they must have a device somewhere that's filtering the air or something. Well, they feed you lunch or supper, whatever, and you head off to the bathroom to wash up. Really, you just want to escape the conversation for a few moments because they're using some vocabulary that you'd only ever heard fancy people use on TV or something. I mean, who says stuff like that in real life, honestly? So you turn on the hot water, which is actually pleasantly hot, not either scalding hot or lukewarm or warm like your tap. You hit the pump on the soap dispenser, which is like a refillable kind, not a disposable one, mind you, and you lather up. Where you expect some rapid drying feature of the cheap garbage you buy from the bargain store, this stuff is like a fine ambrosia between your fingers. It smells incredible. It warms the air with its gentle fragrance, too. It's got a cool mint scent that pairs well with the soft apple-smelling candles in the room. And they smell great despite not being lit, which is weird for you. You rinse off, dry your low-class fingers on the fancy hand towel, complete with metallic little trim. You leave the bathroom actually feeling a sense of refreshment. It strikes a smile on your tired face. It's like that. I finally head over to Ustengrav. Once again, I just sort of zoned out and had fun with the place. Sir Pons Lesius was becoming quite the menace, I dare say. At this point, I felt having a companion wasn't really needed either. Aside from Serana, I think her name is, the vampire, I just never really used them. I feel super, I don't know, unconnected. They're super unalive. Except for Serana, of course. And that always bothered me. So, I sent Lydia back for home for now. And, as you can see, I didn't really miss her much. I finally start the second leg of the main story. I talk to Delphine, and she's like, whoa, a Dragonborn. And I'm like, whoa, a crazy lady. And she's like, dude, man, get some pants. And I'm like, hey, lady, I can kill dragons without pants. And she's like, nah way, dude. So we go have a dragon killing party and stuff. But first, I gotta go tell my frat bros that I'm gonna party with this weird lady, so they all scold me for thinking with the lesser of two heads, but I do it anyway. She's super impressed with my pantsless combat style and dares me to infiltrate the Thalmor embassy. She gives me a pair of clothes to wear to get in. She tells me that there's absolutely no way I'd get in without clothes. But when you got looks like this, a loincloth is all you need, baby. If you didn't notice already, my damage was taking a huge hit. I couldn't kill hardly any of those Thalmor guys. As my level rose, my damage output just couldn't keep up with the enemy's health bars. My Johnny's Storm technique just wasn't gonna cut it anymore. I grabbed some new spells, the Conjurer's Sword and Frost Atronach, and headed off to rescue Uncle Esbern, my favorite. Thanks to commenter at ScareBear6859, I learned that I didn't actually have to participate in Brynjolf's dumb little ring quest. You can actually just run straight to the hideout and pay off the bartender. Now, the game doesn't actually tell you this is an option, but it's excellent to see it's there. I think you should still be able to pay off Brynjolf, though, but I digress. I head into the sewers and test out my new fighting tactic. My plan now was summon sword, use armor spell, Atronach, party time, in that order. I also started dipping into the one-handed skill. Now, it's important to note that in Skyrim, the sword is not an equipped weapon, whereas in both Morrowind and Oblivion, it dropped an actual physical sword in your inventory. That is not the case here. I think Brynjolf was a little, sour about my rejection. I told him I was already in a frat, but he was like, dude, man, just give it a try. You could be in both. But I was like, dude, you can't just corner a guy in a hallway. It's not cool. And he was like, dude, Pantsless, you're my guy. I know it. Esbern was looking super awkward in the corner over there, and I think he was regretting coming with a guy without clothes at this point, and I was thinking of being a jerk, but letting the guy down easy, and just said, hey, man, dude, friendo, it's cool. Maybe next time I'm back in town. But I had an evil dragon to kill, so I never, ever would come back to this backwater slump. So, like, Uncle Esbern and Crazy Lady asked me to go to a party with them. They were like, bro, Pencils, dude, wouldn't it be cool if we all walked there together? And I was like, nah, fam, I've got to stop by and get some killer pots for the old magic tank, you know? And they were a little bit disappointed, but I could tell our friendship was becoming stronger than the gnarliest of hunger hangbrothers. So instead of ditching the party, I did show up. I dunked super hard on the other guests with my Iceman routine. Gotta say, it was pretty sweet. At one point, we had a bit much and found some spooky wall, man. Uncle Esbern was like, whoa, dude, man, Pants, you gotta get up early tomorrow. And I was like, oh no, man, I gotta see my bros, but they're totally gonna kick me out. Then the big man in the high chair was totally gonna kick me out because I had been hanging with the other guys. And it turns out they weren't friends with the frat, but I was like, no way, dude, man, my God, let me have a heart to bro here. And then the guy in a taller chair yelled a bit, and then we had a bit of a bro cool down by yelling at the sky together. It was super special and magical, and I really started to enjoy my bro's company and stuff. They dared me to go to the oldest bro at the top of the mountain, and I'm no wuss, right? So I took it on. But I thought they were pulling the old chain because there was a grumpy dragon up there. I guess he was actually a bro because he told me to go find some cool Elder Scroll thing. Alright, I can't do the voice anymore. Anyway, it was time I headed to Blackreach for the final leg of the story. I had a really fun time in such a short run so far, but I was wondering if the Falmer would be an issue. They're annoying for a normal player, and I am far worse than a normal player, obviously. I had a difficult time in here because, well, it wasn't the Falmer. My Atronox just wouldn't consistently summon, you know, with the narrow pathways. Before I came here, I picked up the Atronox Standing Stone, and I didn't realize that you had a chance to refund a bunch of mana after a spell. That would have been really useful earlier in the run. Regardless, it was way easier than the level 1 Berserker run. I also learned a new strat for the Centurion boss, which was cool. I wrecked the 2 Cell Swords, and it must have given me an undeserved sense of safety or something, because a Dwarven Sphere quickly humbled me. My fears had become true, it seemed. The enemies were way more powerful than I was. Even with the increased magic armor skill, I was getting one-shot. Well, I grabbed the scroll and took a bathroom break while the heroes dumped exposition. Alright, on to the first Alduin fight. Let me just say, I drastically underestimated this leg of the story. I basically was like a gnat. I had to let my summons do most of the work, and so I soaked up the breath attacks with my Breton Racial, which finally came in handy, yay! I never did die, but the fight took me like 10 minutes. To compare, my level 1 Berserker killed him in like 30 seconds. So I did the Peace Council part and took another bathroom break while they talked to themselves. I'll never get over this, I swear. It's like, no, I'm not gonna rant about this again. At least not this time. Alright. Skulldolphin time. I was super high energy and I was feeling good. Sometimes I skip the mobs, but not this time. I had a lot of time to think as I fought soon, mostly because of how underpowered I was. The run reminded me a lot of how we've changed as a society. At one point, we would just play games because it was fun. But now, however, we ruin that fun with extreme metagaming. That's partly why I started this channel in the first place. I love to do dumb things in games because it makes me feel like a kid again. There's something just super unique about that perspective. Do you remember what it was like? It's like making fun of older people as a kid. You say, dude, I'm never gonna be like you. You laugh at the way they go to bed early, listen to music without lyrics, and eat healthy food or whatever. You mock them for not being social enough. Why would you want to be like that? You're cruising through life, and you're ready to make it yours. Then, when you get your first real job, try staying up late for a while. Sure, it works for a few months. But as your mind begins to mature, you wonder if maybe you had been drinking too much after all. Your belt gets tight, maybe. You wonder if you should reach out to those friends from high school. Nah, you think. If they want to hang out with me, they would surely reach out or have reached out already, even though they're assuredly thinking the exact same thing. Maybe a few years go by, and you haven't made any meaningful progress in life, so you decide to take up a hobby. You learn to love going outside again, like when you were a kid. I'm going to walk every hiking trail in the area, you say. So one late afternoon, you walk into that special friend from high school. They're walking the same trail as you, only they're going the other way. They nod at you, and you wave and smile at them. You want to stop and talk, but you look at your phone instead. You avoid eye contact. Something sinks into your stomach. You turn, pretending like you have the courage to say something, but you don't, but realize they also took their phone out. They're just like you. You smile and decide you'll send them a message later, maybe. Maybe you'll hang out. Maybe you won't. It's been 10 years after all. But it doesn't matter, because you grew up to be like those old people from before. You were existing in a crazy world that's good enough for you. You put your music without lyrics back on, take a bite of an apple because it's healthy, and keep walking. It's kind of like that. Here it is, the finale. For once, I was actually unsure of how the fight would go. Maybe I'd actually die to Alduin for once. Well, the heroes and I open the sky, and the World Eater comes. Sir Pons takes out his ethereal blade for the last time and strikes him down. He watches the beast's life implode into the nether and wonders if his penance is finally paid. What do you think? My friends, if you made it this far, thank you. You're awesome. I've been having so much fun making these things. Anyway, if you liked what you saw, maybe consider subscribing to the channel? Liking the thing? I don't know. I'll see you in the next one.